Yeah, so reside is a legal term, and I think Issa is aware of that. And whenever you're, in business, Congress has the right to regulate, business, commerce. So whenever they say, is this where you reside? And you say, yeah, they got you under the jurisdiction, right? Because you're claiming to be a resident, which is a commercial term. So when Issa replies, how can I live anywhere but in my body? I don't know if he knows this or not. He probably does, but he's escaping their jurisdiction.
Yeah, man. What up, Hank? Yep. Is that Hank?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
So what are you supposed to say when the judge asks you, where do you live? Are you supposed to say, I live in my body, but I dwell in, and then you insert the address?
I am the authorized representative of this state or something.
That's funny. Yo, I tell you what, you know what you would say? You would say, Your Honor, am I not, is there not am I not the priority interest holder appearing specially pursuant to the paperwork before the court? That's what I'd say.
That's better, more specific, because he's reading from a paper and he's reading the name and he's asking you, "Are you this name here in this paper?"
Well,
And
no, it's not even. It's not that he's saying like case number so and so, this guy versus this guy. Well, if I've already got my paperwork in, and I have my paperwork is already in, and I've kind of done some stuff outside of court before we get there, and I've got a motion before the court, which is properly served on the other party, has proper process of service, is in the docket, is the top document. If I go in there and the judge says case number so and so, and I say, Your Honor, I'm the priority security interest holder, Issa, or whatever name is in there. But I'm coming on, couldn't like, or, it was put like this, I've heard it put this like, couldn't like a lawyer named like Dick Stevens have a client named Dick Stevens? So, just saying, right? Like the idea that like the name game it's irrelevant to a certain extent because you're saying, hey, I'm the priority security interest holder, Issa, appearing pursuant to the paperwork. Well, the paperwork says that, the accommodation party, a priority security interest holder, Issa, is going to be appearing to motion the court for the motion before the court, which has been accepted by the other party by their failure to respond in a notary seal firsthand information. Therefore, when I show up, I'm giving the judge a way out, and I'm showing him like proper behavior by understanding the etiquette of the court, by not speaking when I shouldn't.
so after
I mean?
that, the judges reads the paper and said, "Hey, it's been brought to the court that so and so, the name and the piece of paper, owns $30,000 because of whatever reason to this other party named so and so. So, are you gonna pay cash or credit?"
If you're already in the courtroom and a judge is asking you questions, they probably already have jurisdiction over you. You're not going to escape jurisdiction at that point.
No, you're not. You're not trying to seek. You're not trying to escape jurisdiction. You've recognized their jurisdiction, and if previously, before you go to your hearing, you've settled the matter, then you can, and there's a motion before the court, you would motion the court.
Just for
So what can you say? Can you say, "Hey, present the monetary instrument so I can sign it, and the matter can be settled as a remedy"?
Hold on, what was that again?
Because they're presenting this paperwork that is saying that the name that you're representing, you're the primary interest holder of this name, and it's being brought to the court that this name there is a claim of monies that are owned, right? That you own. I mean, you gotta pay this amount of money, and the judge is in the middle between whatever the other name that is bringing the claim against you, the primary interest holder. So
yeah, my
don't
my
you need
point
like
is
yeah.
that, check it out. All of the matters of the court, right? If let's say the judge started going like this, I'd say, Your Honor, is that not settled in the paperwork?
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like, when he comes trying to open up the case again, I might just refer back to the fact that this has already been settled with the other party, and that there's a motion before the court which hasn't been, there's no firsthand knowledge against any reason that they haven't accepted it, therefore it is accepted. You know what I mean? So I'm motioning for the dismissal. I'm not going to argue the case. I'm just going to say,
Yeah.
Your Honor, is there not a motion before? Like, I'd love to talk with you. I'll tell you what, Your Honor, if you'd like to discuss the subject matter, we could have lunch after the court makes a ruling on my motion to dismiss the case.
Motion denied.
You know what I'm
I don't
saying?
get the. I don't
Like the
get
idea
the
that,
what ifs here. I mean, if you have a lawsuit and you settle it, then you settle it, and you just file the documents. You don't have to appear in the courthouse to settle it. You just file the document saying we both agree the case is settled. You don't have to even say how it's settled. That could be private between the two of you, and
Yes.
you just file the case, and the court's dismissed. I don't understand the what if here about
I agree. Well, we're
playing all these
talking
games.
We're just he's bringing up a random fucking, you know what I mean? Just playing along, man. I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah, but
I hear you.
if
No, you're right, though. You can settle it. No, you're right. You can
the
settle
case
it out
is
of court.
settled, the case is settled. It's settled. You don't even have to go to the courthouse
Well,
to get that. The
sometimes-
judge isn't going to ask you questions.
Right, but sometimes, like, let's say, like, you have like another party that disagrees with the settlement and they don't accept it, and there's a court hearing date. You know what I mean? So it's got to be like shown to the judge that, like, let's say that the person who's really upset about it is maybe in the wrong, or maybe needs to pay, or maybe, you know what I mean? Like, maybe he's correct, whatever the fuck they did. And that's why it's like the other party just has to sit there and take it, and that's why you're there in front of the judge, because you're like, the society has two parties that can't solve a problem. So they've got to have a father figure come in and solve it for them. And so, because the two parties can't get along, we have our third party. And that's why, I mean, if you're going into court anyway, especially like a civil court or something like that, like, you're granting jurisdiction, you're hoping for their jurisdiction so they can correct the fucking issue. That's a completely different, you know what I mean? Like, but in certain ways, like, I just look at it like, and I try to talk about it in a more philosophical sense as opposed to being direct with specifics. Although sometimes I have my own stories, I just think of it like, it's this notion of that, like, we're always in court, and like how to behave as people too, like just even dealing with society, like you're always in court, in the sense that the definition for court in Black's law is the residence of the sovereign. So the residence is just wherever and sovereign just means authority. So you're the authority of your own life. We have self-government, and if you can prove that you can govern yourself, like, like Roosevelt's got a great speech, I think. You know what I mean? Like, if he who cannot govern himself from within must be governed from without. But if you can show, like, and he goes on about, like, and through a sane, logical, you know what I mean? Like, steadfast, desire for, I forget how he puts it. It's so eloquent. It's like a Jamestown speech, but it's like this idea that self-government, like the idea that you're going to show to these people that you're not, like, I've literally had the, officers want to search my car, not search my car because of what I was doing, and we shook hands like fucking gentlemen afterwards, and I was like, y'all be safe out there, boom, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm fucking good, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not out here trying to be no sovereign, nothing. I don't feel like that. It's just, I'm not going in that direction. It's not about that. It's just about executing what are our inherent traditional rights. And you'd be surprised how officers even are like, wow, it's cool to see somebody really fucking do it.
Forget
about the sovereign.
It's not disrespectful.
He left. He left. He didn't want to hear it. He left.
It's okay. So is in the when you said isn't this matter settled in the paperwork already? I already settled this. Let's say there's a claim for monies, right? The other party is claiming that you own them money. Can you settle it with a monetary instrument or some sort? And do you actually need to put cash out, or can the court settle things
Yo,
with the promise of pay?
to be honest, I don't even want to get into it. I don't even want to get into it. I like the philosophical side of all this. That's what I prefer to talk about. Because to me, like, to get into the specifics of that kind of stuff, it's like, I mean, like, if you don't understand what I'm even fucking referencing or talking about, I sound like a madman. So it's like, that's why I just keep it
No,
like,
you don't. You don't sound like a madman.
Well, I mean, I have the potential if I start talking about some of that stuff as the specifics, because it seems as though, like we don't put enough credit into our own existence and who we are as people and what we've done by our choices in this system. And the actual, like, I think the power that we wield, And I only say
Yeah,
that
but
because
remember, you referenced like, hey, you said that you already settled this in the paperwork or whatever that you presented to the court. What did you actually present it to the court? What's the paperwork about? Like, what do you actually mean?
well, it would depend on the certain instance. It would depend on the type of bill. It would depend on the circumstances, man. Because like,
So
let's just say like this. I'll put it like this, right? Let's say if someone were to uh,
make a claim of
make a
monetary
claim,
claim
let's
against
say,
you.
like like make a claim, right? And because like, let's say we're in a bankrupt system, right? They have the right to discharge debt, right, and accept it as balancing of books. That like this is where it gets into a little crazy town, and I really don't even like talking about it anymore because it just comes down to the agreement between the parties, man, and it's about what your actions speak louder than your words, and the idea that if I send you an instrument and you have not responded pursuant to the requests that I'm allowed to request, then it could be problematic for that institution. That's all. As far as what they
Yeah.
see is getting paid, it's just, and it puts like and it's not something that I would choose to do. It's something that I see as possibly the only way through hyperinflation, dude. If they hyperinflate the currency, this is the only way through because you're paying the debt. It's a different way, but you have principles and you have the system of the idea that you're the priority security interest holder anyway, so you can discharge it. And the highest court or the highest bank, you know what I mean, is where you might have to do it. But I don't like. I mean, I don't know. I just see it as a. I used to be really vocal about it and all the rest of it, but I just see it as it's part of the puzzle, whether I like it or not. I didn't write the fucking rules. I didn't fucking make it up. I'm just observing what it is, and what I've learned is really and truly the most eloquent part about this, if anything, would be Matthew 5:25, which is agree with thine adversary quickly. Unless you be the way with him, but make it a conditional acceptance. Like Jesus, when they asked Jesus, Pontius Pilate, are you the king of the Jews? He said, is it you that says that, or did somebody tell you? He didn't say yes or no or this or that, you know what I mean? Or I am the king of, he didn't fucking do any of that. It was just, excuse me, are you telling that? Who's saying this? Like, what are you talking about? It's brilliant. And it's like diplomatic and everything. And then it's interesting because they release Barabbas. And Barabbas in Hebrew means the son of the father. So this like evil villain potentially is actually the Christ. And then they crucified him, and that's the pagan religion taking over the traditions. But I also think like that pagan side of it, like the cross and all the rest of it, a friend of mine, Buddy What World, he breaks it down well as far as like the cross is like the ledger, and how like all this shit is like this banking code, and it's fucking interesting as hell. But and then you look up definitions, and it's like you take the term like general public. Well, it's not kind. It's not a kind word in law. What the general public is, it's not something where they don't look at it like they don't have much respect for the general public. And that's the thing that gets you too, is that everywhere in the societies you see on the walls and shit, like in schools, knowledge is power. They tell you. What do you think, Jay?
I think this is one of the most interesting topics ever. It's just, it could be, it needs a lot of study, I think.
Well, yo, this is like the ultimate topic for a little bit of knowledge can hurt somebody. Like a little bit of knowledge in this is like could hurt you. You know, but like I think that as something that you take into account as part of your studies as like a man or a woman is the idea that you would understand law. Why wouldn't we? Like we sometimes think like oh like, or I don't know. I think of it like the son of Adam would understand and be eloquent with law. Why would you deprive yourself of your birthright, especially in the age of information where all the information is available? And that's the thing is like in a ecclesiastical system, it's like if somebody says, well, who are you? Well, that's a complicated question, isn't it? Judge says, who are you? That's a deep fucking question. Who am I?
Am, am I not the son of Adam?
Right. I mean, like in your mind, in your own mind, yeah. Like
Will that give you,
or even
like in the court? Does that give you some type of standing or?
No,
or
it doesn't. No, it doesn't because your paperwork still got to be correct. But if your paperwork, how about this? If your paperwork is correct, then yes. Because if your paperwork and everything on the public side is correct, then the judge kind of has to grant you some artistry. So like you're entitled to that if your paperwork is correct. If the bill is paid, right? You're entitled to be the best. You know what I mean? And so when that, you're in a position of authority. In that set, you know what I mean? And if you remember actions speak louder than words and these kinds of principles. And that's why Brian Blum's examples or Brian Blum's contracts, examples, and explanations is so good because you learn about the different knick-knack ways contracts can happen. It was like the gentleman saying before, like, or I don't know, like it's so deep, so cool. It's not something like you would act upon right away. That's what I think. Yo, fucking Hank, what's good, bro? If you're still there, been a minute.
Yeah, I'm still here, casually listening. I find that when people talk about this, the courts and how to move in and out, like they always, talk about the philosophy part of it, but no one ever goes over like court procedure or paperwork. And I know there's this thing called the secured party process, which is the opposite of challenging jurisdiction. So basically, you do something with the UCC guidelines where you send them something, you give them 10 business days, and then you give them another letter saying if you don't respond, then you've agreed. And then apparently they never respond. So you give them 15 business days, and then if they don't respond again for the third time, you give them 30 business days or something like that. Something, it may be, maybe I got the numbers wrong or the sequence wrong or something, but, and then, you get two parties to verify the truth, just like it says in the Bible. So you get, what is it called? The notary, right? And then you put a postmaster stamp on it or something like that, a post stamp. So that's two witnesses that, they received this on this day, right? And then again, they received it on this day. And then again, they received it on this day. And their silence is acquiescence because apparently they never answer those. And then when you go to court, you're like, yeah, the matter settled right here. Would you like to see this, Your Honor? And then you've already got your paperwork to motion for dismiss. But I've never actually seen how all that goes in order. What sequence? What? Basically, there's the right way to do it, and then there's like 100,000 wrong ways to do it. Is what I'm saying.
Well,
And
like
no
yo,
one's ever
that
all the gurus don't ever go over the
well,
right
yeah,
way to
the
do
trick.
it.
I look at not even trick, but like the remedy for that in my mind is the four doors. Remember, man?
Who was the
Just,
hypothetical other party to this case, Larry? I'm sorry, yes, I didn't mean to interrupt.
The state of Texas or the
yeah, like if it
city
was
of
like let's say
Dallas or
taxes or something, maybe.
So the opposing party's some element of the government.
Or like even it could be a credit card company.
it could be a dispute over your grandmother with hot checks that you stole at your grandpa's funeral because you're a crackhead. Hypothetically speaking.
That's the unfortunate part about it. That's why I'm reluctant really to get it too far into it. Is that like, but I don't think anyone like that really gets it. I feel like this shit is like coded somehow, and like the judges see it, man. The judges are so fucking wise, dude. Now, granted, there's corrupt shit. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm just saying, like the like archetype of the judge is like the wisest motherfuckers out here. They get it. They're so cool.
It is a problem. The same thing they do for like all government employees. Like somehow the government employee can do no wrong. The astronaut is the cream of the crop. The soldier is the bravest of the brave. The police officer is a selfless servant.
Well, yeah, the epitome of those positions, they are those things, though. You know what I mean? Like it's like heroic motherfucking like the heroic police officer that saves the grandmother. Like that's the real archetype. The problem is we've corrupted these things in our minds too, though. And like the thing is, I value those proper archetypes. You know what I mean? Like
The governmental body. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh no, go on.
Ahead,
Go on, brother.
The governmental body who employs or empowers the individual, say the police officer, is also liable for the police officer's actions. So if you bring in a cause of action against a officer who did something improper, then you're suing him in his individual capacity. You're suing that agency that he works for, and you can sue up the chain from there. You can sue the state or the governor or whoever else, depending on how egregious it is, or the mayor or the county or whatever. I mean, that's just civil law.
Oh, right, but no doubt. But let's say it's like if you're in the like, let's say if technically in light of like, let's say something financial or something where, let's say you were quote unquote as far as moral society quote unquote looks at like whatever like, let's say you were in the wrong to some sense over some money that just couldn't be gotten. Let's say like you know what I mean. Our system is kind of set up because you are the priority interest holder in this system. I believe there is like a remedy for this to be able to discharge debt so that their accounting will allow for the actual discharge of this debt through these means because and that's why when you come with the proper process and also humility and grace, shall we say, you know what I mean, the judges, I think they have the capacity to do it, and so long as you're not argumentative at any point and you understand like what I've heard is to be like this concept of the four doors. But ultimately, it breaks down to the idea of conditionally accepting everything, because there's essentially no one really at charge or in charge of a courtroom or any of it. Everyone's just playing this role, and they're licensed by the state to play that role. So, I think we really do have the right and the authority to come in as the authority, and especially if we've shown like let's say through a process like Hank has where they didn't respond like if it was so true that I owed you the money, why won't you go to a notary seal or a notary and send me a document that says that I owe you if it's so true? And
Uh,
there's like an
but
affidavit, well, there's like a maxim in law that like an unrebutted affidavit stands as the truth of the matter. So if I've come under notary seal saying, hey, give me this, or else it's agreed that you don't, that we're discharged and everything's good, and you don't respond under notary seal, then in a court of law, my notarized document is recognized by the state as being the truth because the other party went silent.
uh, only if you have a civil action pending before the court or something. I mean,
I dare
you
say it
can't.
could work for criminal shit too, bro. Unfortunately, I don't
Well,
want to
yeah,
get
well,
into
yeah,
it really, but
yeah,
like, yeah.
yeah. It has to be something that's already pending before the court, though. I mean, you can't I just can't send you a letter saying, I didn't care for what you're saying last night. You owe me $10,000 and sign it under notary seal and
Of
send it
course
to you.
not. You could.
That's
I mean, like you would.
it.
If
Yeah,
the judges would see that, and usually, if you were to go to a court to try to collect, that would be dismissed on the grounds of frivolous shit. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, you
But
know what I mean? But you know what though? How about this? If I went totally silent, I don't know if you couldn't go so far. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, if you went totally silent, I would take it to the court and I'd file a lawsuit and I'd serve it on you. And then when you didn't answer that, then
right.
then it's a default. But
And that's
but
essentially that's what you're looking for when it comes to court. The problem is that the other party usually is willing to come to that hearing. I've dealt with this before. I actually went through a
oh
big
yeah,
lawsuit 2 years ago, or I don't even know what, last summer. And I fucking worked with this lady, dude. I took a very big company to fucking court, and I took 20 grand from a company one time. A very big bureaucratic company too, and like because they were wrong, and so sorry, so like I just know that like there's a method of like ensuring stuff, and the attorneys also get it. But it's also about how you come to the courtroom and how you deal with these people, and if you understand what you've
yeah.
done. That's why you can't help anybody. That's why I can't help anybody because I can't go to court for you. I've thought about it. Like think of it like this, bro. I could probably fleece people for like 20 grand to be like, yo, look, I'm gonna come in as the amicus curiae and come and handle the matter, and put it as a caveat in my contract. Well, if the
Well,
judge won't let me be your amicus curiae, then I still don't have to pay. You know what I mean? So I know maybe that
well,
if I show up at some ridiculous court, the judge won't let an amicus curiae come in to speak for the court.
exactly.
He's going to want that individual. So, you know what I'm saying, bro? There's so many angles to like for people to be
Yeah,
scumbags about all this. And that's why I've always said anyone who asks for a fucking dime for this shit is a shill motherfucker. And especially if they want like paperwork for you to like get rid of your citizenship, like you're a fucking idiot. Like, please don't anyone go down that road. Because
that's
I
very
think like,
true.
yeah, bro, I'm like like you know, I'm so anti all that. I'm into the American tradition, and from what I understand, it has biblical connotations, and it's just irrefutable. And I didn't write the fucking rules. And then the UCC, and like, you know, which is the Uniform Commercial Code, which is the language of
Yeah.
commerce. And because we're a bankrupt nation, essentially, because of like 1933, which I think goes back, remember, 70 years from 1933 was the what I was talking about earlier with the Lincoln. You know what I mean? So like and then there's this like this thing called I'm trying to think of the name of the document, and I was going to try to point it to you earlier. It's about like Jewish banking, and so like but there's these like 3 terms of 70-year contracts that nations will go into for one another, and then there's like forgiveness of these debts, which is interesting because we're kind of going through this time right now of this like forgiveness of debt, which I think is going to culminate in basically our government, because everyone thinks China owns the national debt. Everything that happened over the last 2 years will be blamed on China, and our nation's debt will be absolved because of what China did. And this is how they're going to play it publicly. When in reality, it's these 70-year contracts that go back 3 terms. That's my take on it. And I don't
I'm
fucking
not
see
gonna
another. What's that?
I'm not gonna comment on the 70-year contract. I don't know anything
Yeah,
about
fair
those.
enough.
I've never
Fair
seen
enough,
them.
bro. I get
But
it. I
but
get it. I get it.
but
And I wish I was a little more apt to have links or something for you, bro, but I don't right now. It's just something I've studied over the
well,
years and that I've heard.
yeah. Well, but you know, as far as like if you're out of the court and you send a letter to the opposing party and you know you haven't filed a lawsuit yet, there's nothing before the court, you're sending them things, you have to respond within 10 days or this or that. Those threats are meaningless until you go till you go before the court and you go to get them enforced. And
Well, the problem is that they create the
absent,
substance.
well, I
They
mean,
create the substance of your argument, though. That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
point.
The ticket is basically useless that you get from a cop until you go over the judge. Right? It's a summons, right? It's an invitation. Now, if you don't show up, they can, you know, put a warrant out and wage
Yeah, it's a
war
ransom.
rants against you, right?
It's a
So,
ransom notice.
right. So I wanted to say the Shemitah and the Jubilee is what Isa was talking about. As far as Old Testament goes, you can't have a slave for longer than 7 years. Debts get wiped out after 7 years. This sort of thing is like a well-known thing that dates back thousands of years, right? So you notice like every 7 years, there's like a financial crisis between like 2008 and 2000, you know, it just keeps going and going, right? So, you know, once again, it's been 7 years since the last one, and this one seems to be like the big one. And in fact, a lot of people are saying this is like, you know, the reset.
Well, I think before we can even understand, I think what they're at now. That's why it's like it's interesting that like, you know, all these historical points, you know, and even like, because I look at it like, I don't know. I guess what got me in trouble the most talking about was the Treaty of Paris and you know the history of the United States. But in the same stroke, I think you know, aside from all that stuff, you know, you have this like relatively unscathed Christian tradition, which involves the idea of forgiveness. And through the concept of forgiveness, you can dismiss the case and discharge the matter. Because, like, you know, is it like I almost wondered, like, couldn't you almost, you know, write someone a letter and say, you know, prove to me that you can't forgive me, you know, you know, and base a whole case around that. Because, like, you know, and if they don't respond, then, well, it's agreed that you did forgive me and yada, yada, you know. And they show up at court and you say, Your Honor, did I not give them an offer? Did they not fail to respond? Is there not a motion, you know what I mean, that the parties have come to forgiveness?
well, I mean, sure. First, you'd have to have that document served on the individual, not just mailed. You'd have
Well,
to
no,
have
I'm not
some.
outside of proper. You're talking
Okay,
about proper
yeah,
process of service.
yeah, Yeah.
And proper
I
process of
mean,
service, I agree with you 100%. Like, you know what I mean? If you don't have proper process of service, i.e., the originals go to the judge, the copies go to the other party, etc. Like, if you don't have all that stuff down and like registered mail receipts, etc., you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's all process of service and how the court operates, which is, you know, you're right to speak on it. But I just think it's a moot point in regards to the philosophical. It's not moot at all, forgive me, because it's like it's the process side, but then there's the idea of this philosophical side on the other way. But you're not wrong. Forgive me for interrupting you.
I'm just trying to picture how, you know, a signed affidavit being sent to somebody who's not yet been sued is going to
Well, no,
have.
because it shows good faith. Like, you know, it's like
Well,
I
yeah,
think in like Matthew 5:25, I think it's like go to your adversary first. You know, first you go to your, you know, first you go and try to
yeah,
absolve, like, and deal with the issue privately, and then, like, you know, and then if you can't deal with it privately, then you can, you know what I mean, like, you get a witness. You know what I mean, to come with you and
yeah,
help you try to deal with this issue. So you've got a person that sees that this person is being ridiculous. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you clearly have my bike in your yard, dude. Give it, you know what I mean? Give it back to me or whatever. You know what I mean? I got
yeah.
a witness now. And the guy says, you know, I'm not going to give you back your bike. It's my bike now. Fuck you. Well, I got a witness that sees that. So now I can go to the public and say, hey, look, I need help and I need the authority to come execute the law, which is that you can't fucking steal my shit. You know, and like, you know, and in that way, when I, you know, I make the request, the judge now says, okay, this is a state issue now, and
Yeah.
says, fucking, hey, you need to show up at court on this date. We need to find out what's going on. Well, if that guy's like, well, fuck you, then he's going to send the king's men down there to go get him and bring
Yes.
him to court. And they're going to fucking bring him to court, and he's going to say, so what do you got to say now? Because actually, he's got to absolve himself of the contempt charge first. Because if you
The
don't
judge.
even, if you don't
Yeah.
absolve yourself of the, you have to purge the contempt, you know, and you know, et cetera, whatever. And that's usually just paying the warrant or whatever it is. But they got to, you know, deal with that contempt charge for not coming, and then all of a sudden, you know, now you stand before the court, you know. And but the
Well,
idea is you would go with your witness to the thing and say, hey, you know, even like not only did this guy not come to court, but I got a witness here saying that he's got my bike. Da 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 da. The officer testifies the bike's in the front yard. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
And like so, but the
actually, if he never does come to court, then the sheriff's going to seize the bike, and the sheriff's going to probably seize him for whatever crime, and then he's going to be
well, that's what I
dragged
mean. The
before the
king's
court
men,
for yeah, because
right? The king's men are going to come and get him.
yeah,
That's why.
yeah,
See, and this
because
is honestly the way I look at it, bro. Is that you're the king. Like never in our lives, time. You know, never in our ancestors, maybe time. Despite how anyone looks at it, it's like we had it so good. You know, so glorious, right? We got fucking internet and a fucking house and shit like that, right? And fucking you know, I just think like, you know, along with that, we have the king's men. So your king's men are the local fucking police, and they're your men. They're my men. You know what I mean? They're my. You know what I mean? I hope them well. I fucking. You know what I mean? Etc. Right? So like, you know, if something was happening, God forbid, I could call them and they would come and help me. You know what I mean? And like, you know, in the same way, like the court's going to send their king's men, bring them up, and say, hey, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? You can't just whatever disappear. You know, you're going to respect this authority, and then that guy's going to say, well, you don't have jurisdiction, right?
yeah,
And then fucking, you know, he's going to get hemmed up. And I love the story about the tax guy. They send him 3 letters and fucking they bring him to court. And then fucking the guy's like, well, the Constitution says this and that and the other thing. And the judge just straight said, if you bring up the Constitution one more fucking time, I'm going to hold you in contempt. Because, and you know, and then he's, you know, he's like, oh, the Constitution, you can't even bring up the Constitution anymore. Like, you know, when in reality, it's like you got 3 letters, you didn't fucking respond. And you know what I mean? The IRS is going to do whatever. You can't bring up the Constitution after the fact. You know, that kind of a thing. Because they send you a letter
yeah,
first. Take like Ruby Ridge and shit, all of it, man. They probably sent them a letter first. They don't just come out with their guns blazing. If you were in negotiation with them, like I've stopped foreclosures, prolonged that shit for years.
yeah.
Because fucking, I talked to the attorneys. I mean, I remember this fucking lady was fucking so scared. They were coming on Monday, kind of thing. Put the fucking notice on the wall, kind of thing. And I fucking called, and I was like, "Who's the fucking attorneys?" We called the attorneys, and fucking, I was like, "Hey, we're gonna, tell them we'd like a continuance for 60 days, and we really hope that it wouldn't be a problem." Blah 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 blah. Fucking, the lawyer did all the paperwork for her, so that they weren't going to come and take the house. Like, I have ultimate respect for the system in that sense that it does what it says. It's like Listerine. It says what it does what it says. But also, it has rules that we're not aware of that I think when you push it, it's like, look, because we're looking at it like you committed a fraud on us. Well, instead of like calling out this fraud that they're whatever, you just go into fraud country. Oh, we're going to make shit up now? Oh, I'd love to. So long as you can, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's really poetic, and it's kind of like the thinking man's arena, except your balls are on the line, Yeah, man. It's good talking to you, brother.
Yeah. Well, hey, I got a quick story I'll share just because I was
Yeah.
at a lecture 2 years ago. Everyone knows the famous McDonald's case, right? Lady spilled a coffee on her leg, filed a lawsuit, and got $4 million. And everyone, it's famous. It's Stella, right? All the jokes that go with it. The actual story from her plaintiff counsel, at least. So she was a passenger in the car with her grandson, and they pulled through and they got the coffee, and they pulled into the parking lot, and he went back in to get something, and grandma held the cup of coffee between her legs because it didn't have cup holders, and the coffee spilled, and she was wearing sweatpants, so the coffee soaked into her sweatpants, and she had very severe burns. She had like third-degree burns and needed skin grafts and everything else, and a lot of time in the hospital. And then she brought the claim to McDonald's, and wasn't seeking much. She was seeking $20,000. She wanted her medical bills paid for, and that was pretty much it, and some lost wages. And McDonald's offered her $800. And so she hired an attorney, and they took the case to suit. And it went all the way to trial. And in the course of discovery of that trial, it came out that McDonald's at that time was selling its coffee at 190 degrees Fahrenheit, a temperature that would guarantee somebody would get burned if they spilled it on exposed skin. And in fact, McDonald's had something like 700 previous claims over the previous 3 or 4 years of customers being severely burnt by the coffee. And so the case proceeded to trial. And recall, this is back in the late 80s, early 90s, the time when the news outlets were ABC, CBS, and NBC. No social media, no alternate news other than the evening news. And the McDonald's reps were in the courthouse watching the case go to trial, and they saw the jury was just extremely pissed off. And so when the jury went out on to make a verdict, McDonald's sent its most experienced and influential talking heads to the three networks, and so they were there ahead of time, spinning the story that this is going to be an outrageous verdict. This is tort. We need tort reform. This is terrible. This is going to be bad. So basically, corporate media spun this corporate crime into something that's been painted as a individual that's greedy and just trying to get money. The jury came back and awarded her $400,000 in damages, and then something like $4 million in punitive damages that was reduced under appeal and eventually settled, and she probably got like $1 million. But so this person who was severely burned through some fault of her own, the jury found that she was 20% liable and that McDonald's was 80% liable. And so her award was dropped by that 20%. And at the end of the day, she probably got about $1 million. But she's tainted forever as this greedy person who was really only seeking $20,000. And everyone seems to absolve the corporation who was marketing a product that was not safe for its intended purpose. Everybody else sells their coffee at 150 degrees. McDonald's was selling it at 190 degrees, and it was not safe for its intended purpose. But corporate media spun the tale, and McDonald's is seen as the good guy in this story now. Media wins.
I was like the Thompson v. Taco Bell. The guy went in for a job application, or for a job, and he didn't want to put his social security account number, and they refused him. They refused outright to hire him because he wouldn't put it. He went and sued for trying to make him divulge his social security account number, and they ended up settling, I think. And to this day, if you ever get an application for a job, it'll always say optional, right where it says social security account number.
Yeah. Well, when I took applications, I wouldn't even ask for the Social Security on the application, but if I hired them on their W-4, they would have to put it.
Right. Most different, but it was the and it's like it's well known, but Taco Bell. I just thought it was interesting.
That law may have changed now. I think you have to have it now, or depending.
Nope, that's a deprivation of rights under the color of law.
Well, no, well, I mean, you have to have it if you employ them for sure, but I don't really see any need to have someone's social security number if you're considering hiring them.
In order to be paid,
for all practical purposes, like I get it, but technically,
you don't have to.
It's almost libelous if somebody knew what they were doing with it.
You don't have to put it on the application, but you have to provide it to them whenever you're hired.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know if that's the case either. I mean, it's the idea that you
can't get paid. You can't get
paid. Yeah, that's how you're identified as an employee, and you're paying your employer tax, and all that stuff. You got to have their social security number.
Right, and that's my point, is that like we're so far gone that I think like we don't recognize that all of these things are libelous. Like these are problematic for these institutions, even in the sense that like they do go against constitutional values in a lot of ways that makes them and opens them wide open to litigation. You know what I mean? And like, I mean, like, let's say if someone were to make a stink about it, like the idea that they were going to have like, a company compel them to disclose the social security account number, else they wouldn't hire them because then they wouldn't be able to do their taxes or whatever fucking else. that person might be able to hold that company accountable, despite the fact that that company is just going to be like, I'm just doing what I know I'm supposed to do. And it's like this conundrum
What
of
are
it
you going
goes
to hold
against.
them accountable for, though?
You could hold for deprivation of rights under the color of law. Like you're depriving me of something under a notion that is not true to the American tradition, despite you thinking that it is.
Well,
What does all that mean?
But I understand what like. It's like I'm just saying, like there's many instances where like I don't know. There's like I'm under the opinion that you have more rights than you might know how to protect. And I think when we exercise the ability to protect our rights, it's kind of amazing to see what actually are the institution or the officers do out of respect for those things. And I'm not trying to say that you're wrong. Like, I mean, I granted, like 9 out of 10 times, like that shit's gonna get thrown out. It's gonna be done incorrectly. It's fucking the business is gonna be like, go fuck yourself. But I'm saying possibly those actions and those reasonings that you just said are deprivations of rights under the color of law, despite your full fucking sound reasoning for thinking that it would be problematic. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just that it's not. It goes contrary to what our original system was created to be, and I think, like I said, it makes it wide open for litigation in ways that we're not aware of. That's all. I mean, great, because you're not wrong to suspect what I'm saying at all. Like, I'm just saying, I think that because of the way that that stuff operates, actually, to be honest, I'm of the opinion that anything to do with banking is totally permitted to have the social security account number. So I wouldn't even make this argument. Do you know what I mean? But I just saying, like, that notion that someone is compelling you for that is a deprivation of rights under the color of law.
If I'm an employer and I'm hiring people, and my policy is you have to supply me with your social security number to be hired, and you don't supply it to me, then you're not going to be hired. I've been violated
I get
your
it.
rights,
I'm not trying.
you know.
I get it. You're right. Well, you're not wrong.
And you said Taco Bell settled, right? Because
I think so.
if they settled, then I don't think you can really be used as precedents or anything, right?
Use it as precedent. Have you looked it up at all? I know it's like. Let me
No,
look at.
I never heard about this case.
I'll see if I can find it. So I know I've seen it on Wikipedia before. Hold on.
That's right, though, right? If somebody settles, then you can't really use that as precedents, right?
You can't what?
Use it as precedents, like in some future case.
It requires rulings.
Yeah, you're correct. A judge's ruling could be precedent, but a settlement isn't precedent. Was there a flat Earth case someone posted?
There are several. I haven't seen Jem's third episode of History of Flat Earth, but the third and fourth episode are about Robotham, and I know that there was a huge court case involving one of his followers over there, or was it him or one of his followers? I forget who it was.
I'm having a tough time finding the Thompson case, the one I was thinking of, but it's interesting. I found it's a policy manual for living without a social security number and for dealing with people, customers, employees who do not use social security numbers.
Sorry to interrupt. FYI, it's muted on YouTube, the live stream.
What is it?
For your own good.
On YouTube, it's just silence.
That's for your own good, man.
No, yeah, it seems to be sorted now. I don't know if someone just unmuted it, but it was silence before.
So Issa, what was your recent case about? You said you spent 3 days in jail.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it wasn't recent. It was a while back. But I had like some herb on me. Dealt with some officers and kind of like didn't know enough to help myself. But we ended up going through a cool little experience. Judge was cool. It was just interesting. A lot of side notes, but I'm not really going to get into it.
Okay.
What was cool though is that after that incident, I got pulled over again by these cops or some cops, and I was like, "Oh man, am I gonna do this again?" You know, because I had a joint in my pocket and like an ounce of the one of the coolest experiences because the officers were pretty cool. I mean, I was cordial. Got out of the car, etc., and they wanted to search it. I just said, I'd love to, so long as they wouldn't mind accepting, penalties for deprivation of rights under the color of law and searching my vehicle without probable cause of a crime having been committed. And the guy was like, "Oh, you were speeding." And I go, "Do you mean to tell me one of the honorable judges in this county doesn't know the difference between a crime and an infraction?" And then I was like, "And you know what?" I was like, "All right," I go like, I said like, because they found some jujitsu shit I had. And I was like, it's like, I can't, like we were talking about MMA for a second. And I was just like, I was like, see, here's the thing, guys. I was like, I can't physically like fight you guys to like stop you from searching my vehicle. I was like, but the state does allow me to sue you. So I was like, so if you want to search my vehicle and then you agree it's deprivation of rights under the color of law and, penalties for searching my car without probable cause of a crime having been committed. And I'm going to need any dash cam footage you've got. Because like despite whether or not I've got an ounce of weed in the truck or whatever, they really don't have the grounds. And they were like, they brought a dog out and I had a joint in my pocket and a fucking ounce in the trunk. The dog walked around my vehicle halfway and they pulled him off and they just said, "You know what, have a nice day." I shook all their hands. Fucking, I should have been like, all right, boys, let me get the business card because you guys just accepted penalties by bringing the dog. I could have been a dick, but you know, I know better.
What kind of penalties would the dog bring in if it's just walking on the outside of the car?
Well, no, it's the idea that you've brought something to search the vehicle. You're searching the smell of my vehicle on what grounds? And where's your, you know what I mean? Like, where's your charging instrument that gives you the authority to do this to my property, despite
Right.
your suspicions? Now, you know
Someone
what I
should
mean?
have. Yeah, if someone has
I wouldn't
rung and
say that, though.
complained about your car, then yeah, there's grounds. But other than that, they're just bored, have nothing to do.
Well, no, they're just being, you know, the problem is that there's a lot of fucking people that are crazy and all the rest of it. So they run, you know, some cops. It's like weird, man. Like, you know, I've been in rural places where the cops are great, and then I've been in the city where cops are like fucking, you know, like treat you like you're fucking in Iraq. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and it's just about like how you deal with them. I think, you know, also recognizing like, you know, a good question to ask is, you know, what's the emergency? Because if they say there's no emergency, then well, why do you have your lights on? You know what I mean? And it's just interesting, man. Like, you know, it's like it's just some of this wordplay is like liberating, can be liberating. If you're living clean, if you're a scumbag fuck, I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Right, I
You
get
know
what
what I
you're
mean?
saying. The questions you're asking them are trying to make them more honest, in a sense.
Right. It's more, well, it's just honest to their oath in a certain sense. Yet I'm not like being a sovereign dipshit and being like, you're violating your oath of office, dude. You're just like, you know, treating me like a criminal. But like, you know, that's stupid. Like, and that's complaining. And that's like, that's why I talk about like the 4 doors, because like everything goes through the 4 doors and you can't be a debtor. You got to be a creditor when it comes to shit. And if you're a creditor, then you're like, I don't know, like creditors give and debtors take and complain and shit, you know.
Right. I get what you're saying though. It's good to be cognizant of when they're overstepping their duty.
Well, right, and
Or
this is what we were getting into earlier about the employee and the number and all this. The other thing, it's like, you know, all these institutions are wide open for litigation because they've already overstepped all these fucking. It's like, you know, when they put that whole like, you know, when people had to wear the face cloth. You know, and I don't know, I've told the story before when I went to the store and they were like, everybody's wearing the face cloth and whatever. And I said, I'd love to, if you could just show me what your policy is in writing. She couldn't find the policy in writing. And then I was like, so you're not a medical professional and you're giving me medical advice? And she was like, well, da, 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 da. So I pulled out my phone and I just hit record and I said, so you're not a medical professional and you're giving me medical advice? And she said, oh, please stop, da, 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 da. And well, long story short, I wound up going in the store, buying what I wanted without a fucking mask, and fucking did it that way. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like everyone was
yeah,
cucking out. When everyone was cucking out, I fucking was like, you know what? Fuck you.
yeah. I have to concede that I don't have that problem here in England, whereas they can't enforce it on people, and the shops know that they only ruin their business by trying to make people wear something that they don't want to wear before they come in and spend their money in their business. So here it
Well, yeah,
seems
the
to
issue,
be
but the
people's
issue
choice.
is,
Like you go in a shop and maybe 50%, 40% are still wearing masks, but it's your choice. Like no one's going to try and say, why aren't you wearing a mask? Get out of the shop, you know? So I'm lucky in that sense.
yeah, man, it's cool. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. You know what I mean? Shit, I went out to like, it was like a, you know, friend of mine's like birthday, whatever, and I went out there and I fucking wouldn't put a mask on, so I just fucking left the restaurant. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm like, suck my nuts. And you know, everyone was kind of pissed off with me about it, but I was like, no, I'm not fucking doing this. And, you know, and it's like, but I often think like it's like, you know, if you're a parent and you're a flat earther and like, you know, the fucking principal of the school calls you in and it's like, are you teaching little Johnny about flat Earth? You know what I mean? Like, your answer should not be, well, have you seen Eric Dubé's 200 proofs? You know what I
Well,
mean? like, your fucking answer, you know what I mean? Technically, should be, excuse me, you're trying to tell me what I can teach my kid at home?
I probably would have gone. Are you trying to teach things as fact when they're not
Right, but
actually
now,
fact?
no, but now you've lost. You're done. You're dead. You're dead. DHS, you're dead. The whole point is I'm not going to get into fucking science and Neil deGrasse Tyson says it's flat and all the fucking rest of it. I'm talking about,
No, no, of course.
are you trying to tell me what I can or cannot teach my child at home?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yes or no? You know what I mean? And that's the end of the fucking conversation. I'm not trying to have it out. The idea is that, like, it's like, oh, you're trying to search my view. Well, it's like, what do you think? I smoke pot? What do you do? What are you just labeling me? What are you just saying? I'm no. Excuse me. Do you not have a genuine accusatory charging instrument for my inspection? I'm not fucking talking about like the societal fucking needs of the day. I'm talking about the code and the fucking rules. And the rules say, if you search my vehicle, you might be denying me equal protection due process of law by making a search without probable cause of a crime having been committed. Okay. Not fucking, well, about Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab and like the World Economic Forum and you don't know about that? You know what I mean? Like, no, we're not going there. We're going to fucking, do you have the authority to do this, that, or the other thing? I'm not trying to fucking like hold somebody's hand through that shit.
I don't mean to go into an argument with it, but I'm just saying, just to kind of open their mind up, that they're actually teaching kids something as fact when it's not. It's not like to get into the argument of, oh yeah, the Earth's flat. It's just you're telling me off for trying to teach my kids something, right? Yeah, you're trying to teach my kids something that's not true, and you're teaching it as fact.
Right, and they're going to be like, so you are teaching your son about flat Earth, is that right, sir?
Teaching them about the physics of water.
The physics of water, sir. Do you know what I mean, dude? They're just going to label you fucking nuts, dude. There's no fucking reason, because they're going to be like, that's nice. We're going to have Officer so-and-so come by for a wellness check on Thursday. And, yeah. And now you're fucking like, well, I'm trying to save the world.
Well, here's the thing: if I truly, in my heart, felt like the school was teaching my child something that's not true, I would not send my child to school. I would homeschool them. Absolutely.
There you go. But also, you could also understand that, like I can. It's like, you want your child to grow up as a member of the sports teams and all the fun, and like it's like, so what if they teach the fucking heliocentric model and everything that everyone else believes in society? Do you know what I mean? Like, because they should learn that and they should know how to function in that. They shouldn't be deprived of that education and the beliefs of what we've come to agree we teach in schools, etc. Like, it's like, I don't give a shit if they teach. Like, it's like my niece showed me how the moon works one day, and I was like, fuck, she nailed it. The way that the moon works and the heliocentric model, and I was like, hell yeah, you killed it. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, the moon doesn't do that. It's like the anode and the cathode. I'm not gonna fucking break that shit down at that particular moment. Like, I just think, and I wouldn't be so adamant as to like, or die hard. It's like if I was in a room, or if I'm in a room and somebody makes fun of Islam, I don't feel the need to like have to like stand up and like defend Allah or something. Fucking, you know what I mean? Because like these ideas and Allah don't need my fucking defense in that way, you know. And I don't need to like stand up against heliocentrism, But I could teach my child at home, like, hey, there's all these other ways that they looked at it. Fucking turtles all the way down. Can you believe it? And then to let them decide. Like, who is anyone to like cap anyone's knowledge.
Hey, Issa,
Yep.
mind if I pop in here and just say something real quick? I haven't
Please
said
do.
it in a really, really, really long time. Crypto! Thank you.
Hey man, how you doing?
I knew you. I knew it. I knew it. Get it? It's been a while. I know you couldn't resist it.
Yeah, I just been listening for the last hour or so, just on a long hour drive. How's it up in sunny Canada?
What's that, sorry?
I said, how's sunny Canada?
Oh, fuck. It pissed on me today.
Oh, that's no good.
Tomorrow's a new day.
It's been hot as fuck in the UK. We had, well, they said it was like 38 degrees centigrade. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. But I recorded on my car's thermostat 42 degrees C today.
38 is 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So 42 must be about 115-ish?
1.7.
Maybe less. 107, yeah. So it's absolutely mentally hot today. It's great.
It was 107 or 42 here today in Dallas.
In Dallas?
It'll be that tomorrow and also Wednesday. The next 3 days, it'll be the same temperature. Then it cools down. Then it cools down to 100 or 38 on Thursday.
Yeah. We've got these English people they're so funny. The British media has been going on about how there's going to be like wildfires and all the hot, it's going to be really, really bad. And I'm just like, have none of these people ever been to Spain or Florida or Turkey? The world doesn't end at 40 degrees C.
Yeah, how about talk to the people that I used to work with doing concrete when it was like 38 degrees outside and this motherfucker's walking around with a sweater on him. Well, why you got a sweater on? I'm cold. Fuck you, it's cold. Get that shit off, man. What the fuck? But that's only because they come from a place that's like way hotter than here, right? So probably melt into the pavement.
Nah, it's glorious. I love it when it's hot.
So we're still like the Earth is still a turtle, right? Or did that change?
So no, I think left lane's the turtle earther. Yeah, I think left lane is the turtle earther in here. You'll have to ask him.
I mean, a turtle's cool. I mean, it could be an elephant too. I don't know if I can do shit. I'll tell you what it can't be. Can't be a fucking snake. All them motherfuckers need to be thrown in a pit and burned. You like snakes? Who likes snakes?
No one
Hell
likes
no.
snakes.
Good.
Snakes are like the non-flying equivalent of wasps.
Bro, do you know why I don't like snakes? Number one. Number one.
Because
Okay?
they're poisonous. The
They
poisonous.
can fucking
That's
fit
all.
almost any place. Right?
I know.
Number two.
Snakes are cool.
They can fucking climb on a goddamn ceiling? Number three, I don't like anything that can go that fast with no fucking legs. That's devil shit. Get out of here.
Yeah, I don't like snakes because they're like the poison one is like so fast. Like if you get like a big anaconda snake, it go that fast like a car. you try like a bite, you know. Yeah, it's some big ass snake, you know. The one, you know. Yeah, it's scared to like to like to realize it, you know. A big any kind of snake on your front yard. Some bullshit, like you know that.
Nope, because I wouldn't fucking be there.
Like a big anaconda snake. Realize
Nope.
you're watching your
Nope.
ditcher, you got like a big
The
anaconda
second
snake
thing you
in your
even think there's
backyard.
going to be a snake, I've already found the exit. Trust me.
Yeah, so we're talking about snakes, so core snakes and anacondas.
Well, I'm talking about the other kind of snakes too.
Yes. Yeah, that
But
kind of
nope,
snake is good, yes.
they
And
didn't
all the
return the shit
snails.
too.
Let's talk about snails now. Gary the snail. Yeah.
Well, I don't have any information on snails, sorry. I can't
I
talk
can't
about
hear you,
something.
wait.
I can't talk about something I don't know. Right? I can only talk about
Wait,
something.
yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned,
I'm fixing my mic, so yeah.
I was just gonna say, no, I can't say it.
Sorry for that. I checked my mic again, so say it again.
No, I didn't. I didn't even say it because I can't bring myself to say it. The Earth is a ball. How dare you, people? How no? I can't even. You know that's pathetic that you can't even fake trying to do that shit. That's bad. Well, no, I mean, I guess that's kind of good. Just means you don't have the ability to think about that kind of stuff. It's garbage anyway.
Did you say you think the Earth is a ball?
No. Fuck that shit. Don't even know. No.
I was gonna say.
No.
Yeah, I got some evidence too that it's a ball. You know, it's just come
Oh, you
from.
do?
Oh, don't tell. Don't.
It's not curvature on that. It's a religion. It's a
Who is that?
religion. It's so
Are
it's in
you
Egypt.
kosher or are you fucking doing? Because you gotta say anything. Oh, it's
Like
kosher.
God, hey, I'm talking. God did not create the universe. So let me explain it in my pictures
Okay.
right here.
Let me see your evidence. I'll take a look at it. Thank you.
Oh shit. I release those pictures. Wait, it's in my.
Mic check.
This is my
Yeah, we can hear you, Bacon.
You make it.
I think.
Oh, here we go.
Take your time. I'd love to see some evidence like that. If you can change my mind, you didn't save my life. I don't want to be a flat earther.
What?
Yeah. If a Glover can change my mind, I would love him forever.
What?
It's hard to explain. Wait, get the right post. Yeah, I need pic perms too.
Oh.
So I need some picture
I don't know.
perms.
I don't know what you're what you're doing, Gojo, but
Uh,
you can lie to your
I
parents, but
I
you
need
can't
some
lie to
picture
me.
prompts. Can somebody like give me
You
some
can send
picture
it. You can
prompts?
send it. You can send it to me
I
directly.
can't
I'll
be a
post it. Then I'll give you the
can't be
prompt.
a cube
Okay,
breather anymore.
okay. That'd be good. Let me- This one rare post. Okay.
It's not any kind of NSFM. That doesn't stand right.
Yeah,
It's not any
so
not safe for work images, is it?
I know the flat Earth is real, but like the globe, there's one secret religion that's like obliterated everything, and yeah, obliterate the Bible too. So okay,
Are
I
you
can
speaking in English?
Yeah, I think
I speak English, not Nickelodeon, bro. Here we go. I'm sending you the thing. So
Okay, I'll post.
yeah, it's post these. So okay, post it on chat, please.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, that'd be good. It blurs every religion, so blurry, like, yeah,
Yeah, this
please
carpet.
do it on my life.
Oh, okay. I like that. I like that. Okay. Pretty cool, dude.
Yeah. Let me explain it. Do it in chat. Send it to chat, please, so I can explain it. So
Okay, I guess. Your horses, sir.
okay, what I send you is a what I say is stuff like it's symbol, like it's geometric symbol in Egypt, on all the governments behind this, and all these religion. Thank you. That it's called the flight of life. God's not a man. God's energy. But so like, and the peoples of power know this shit, and they can get this thing out of there. So it's energy of unity, and like the Bible, it's the Bible. The firelight blare is the Bible because Jesus hate gays, Islam hate gay people, or all that stupid crap. So don't go to church. God's energy. So I experienced myself in 2019. No, the last prize was stolen. It was very fantastic. In 2019, you experienced it. Yes, I'm not in political here. I know what you're trying to do is like get rid of all these. Yeah, it's very like hard thing. Very hard, not hard. Very complicated thing to do. So
I understand that. Yeah.
Do you?
yeah, and
He's right. He's right. It's very
it
difficult.
creates peace.
It is difficult. Yeah, I know.
Don't go to church. Don't go to church, and it's all fly of life's energy. Okay, so yeah, don't go to church. Do not be baptized. Okay, what a baptism is. What's it called?
Don't get circumcised either, but some do. So it's
I believe
shit hurt.
I just think
Don't
learned that
believe the
the hard way.
Bible. Don't believe in these like
yeah,
imaginary
Quran,
things.
so.
I'm not atheist. Like I got like I tattoo. I got like I tattoo of like a um like not tattoo like a organic pyramid fly of life. Okay, so I'm having
Wow.
yes.
Organic pyramid.
Yeah, Origin Pyramid, yes. So that is God. Okay, that's God's energy, not the Bible.
Is
Okay.
that like a product
Yes.
you can sort of buy from somewhere?
And the
talking
Firelight
about
Priest.
he's talking about
The
orgon, not organic orgons, like the same thing as like ether energy
Oregon.
or like chi or ki, or you know, like life force. Pretty much, it's called orgon energy in certain circles. Prana,
Organ.
mana,
Yes.
vril.
Circles. Yes. That's what happened.
I need a
That's
pyramid made out of
why
organs.
I'm not going to church because, like, when I go to church like 2 weeks ago, not 2 weeks ago, like, it's like 4 months ago, I feel like the same old thing over and over again. It's kind of like a hypnotizing thing Jesus did that with the apostles. Do this. Oh, 1 day of rest. Like, if I do 1 day of rest, what's the equivalent? Like, waste your time on like you can reach your goals, like of law attraction. Okay, so church, it's a scam. Okay. God, I wish you go to my church and just say that crap and get banned and that crap. So I regret to say, motherfuckers,
Clearly,
you still what?
is there any chance you
Okay,
could like
I'm kind of drunk.
enunciate a little more clearly?
Kind of a little drunk a little bit. I'm kind of a little drunk a little bit. I've got
That's
to.
all right. Let's put a little effort into it. You're making sense and all. I just want to hear you more clearly. That's all. Sorry. Were you feeling the orgon energy flowing through you at church? They could give a master class on any topic. Literally anything.
Wait, what did you say about masterclass?
I said, who here thinks that they could give a master class on any topic? Like
Maybe
people enter into a room, and you're at the front of it. They sit down in the chairs in front of you, and by the time they leave, you have all the time in the world. But by the time they leave, they know everything they need to know about any particular subject of your choosing. What would that subject be?
Oh, what's the audience?
I'd be the appropriate audience.
Sorry?
It'd be whatever appropriate to whatever it is you were going to do the masterclass for. But I'd be too embarrassed for anything that I probably would be capable of doing a masterclass for. I don't think it would be anything honorable.
Like, I could give a master class on the first 20 tricks you should learn when learning how to skateboard. Like, I could take anyone and get them to like a pretty, like, I could give a master class on the fundamentals of skateboarding. And if I had all the time in the world, I could get 20 people in one room to be able to ride transition, ramps, stalls, kickflips, heel flips, tray flips, ollies, gaps, grinds, all that, Just give me enough time with them, and yeah, I'll pump out some skateboarders. Not professionals, but some pretty pretty talented guys, pretty talented people, whatever.
Hey, well, if you can get them to do a tray flip, then I'd say that was a job well done.
Yeah, yeah, that would be that point where it's like, yeah, job well done. They could tray flip, they got it. They're good. They can take it on their own from that point. You know, some people, right? Like, let's just say a shoemaker, right? Some person might be able to give a master class on making shoes, or making blankets, or whatever, or like wiring up a house, or doing the plumbing of a house, or something like that. You know, there's just certain people who can give a master class on a certain topic. I was just wondering if anyone here thinks that they could give a master class on literally any topic. I guess it's a little embarrassing to say, oh, I could teach someone how to ride a bike, or grow some roses in a garden or something like that. I don't know. Literally anything.
What about linear algebra?
Linear algebra? Hell yeah, man. You think you'd give a master class on linear algebra?
Or if I can prep, maybe.
What?
If I have preparation, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, of course. Of course, with preparation, no doubt.
If I randomly start teaching someone, I'm probably gonna not gonna do a great job.
Yeah, you'd have to get your ducks in order, you know, to think about what to introduce first.
Yeah, the order of how things are gonna flow. It makes sense.
That's what I think isn't emphasized enough when teaching things. The order of the delivery of the material. You know? Like, I really appreciate whenever someone introduces me to anything, them giving me like bulletin points just to start out with. You know, before we dive into anything, just give me like 10 bulletin points about what we'll be covering. Sort of like how a book will give you like the chapters of the glossary or whatever that you can look through before you actually go ahead and read the first word of the first chapter. You can kind of look over the titles of the chapters, or the titles of the chapters of the book, you know? I think teaching a subject should usually approach it from that manner. Like, I'm not just going to begin discussing a topic. First, I'm going to begin by telling you all the topics that we'll eventually get to. You know, here's the first topic, which will lead into the second topic, and this is what the second topic is, third, fourth, fifth, 10th, all the way to 10th or whatever. And then after that's, you know, explained, then we go ahead and dive into the first topic. Just to give that context of, like, you know, I also think that one of the first things you should tell someone before you tell them about anything is how eventually it might be used. Like, what kind of skills and abilities you'll have at the end of learning all of this. Because I feel like people learn best when first they have an issue that they would like to solve, or like, or a task that they'd like to complete, and I say, hey, oh, I can get you there, that you can complete this task all by yourself. You'd really like to do this task, right? Well, that's what we're aiming for. You know, your ability to handle this thing on your own. And but first we have to start here in order for you to get to that position, that capability level, or whatever. No one has any interest in learning anything if they have no idea from the beginning how they're going to apply the new information they're going to learn. They got to have a dream, you know, to drive them forward, give them that destination to aim towards. I feel like schooling often, you know, or elementary schooling, is really just learn it because we're going to punish you if you fail our tests. That's not proper motivation. You gotta tell me about all the wonderful things I'll be able to do with this information after I learn it. Not just some sort of punishment for not learning it. Me, but a relative of mine could absolutely give a master class on distilling your own mead. You know what mead is? It's a particular alcoholic drink. You know, he could come in here, teach you everything you need to know for you to make your own mead. He could tell you what mistakes to avoid, how to make it, you know, to your particular taste. Maybe you can use strawberries to flavor it. Maybe you can use honey, whatever, right? You can do that. I think that's awesome. Maybe someone in here can give a master class on music theory. You know, does anyone in the room have music theory so under their thumb and think that they could really provide a step-by-step education all the way from square one to the final destination? What about opening a business? Who can give a master class on how to become an entrepreneur? Any entrepreneurs in the house? Uh-oh. Any entrepreneurs in the house? No? Oh man, that's crazy, huh? No? Oh boy. A serious doubt, but just in case, mic check. You guys are hearing me, right?
Oh yeah, we hear you, bro.
Okay, good.
I
What do you
wouldn't
think?
call myself an entrepreneur, but a jack of all trades and master of none. And you talk about teaching a master class makes me think, what could I teach in a master class? And this thing pops up and that thing pops up, things I've done. And immediately I think about all the things I don't know about that, which would disqualify me from teaching a master class.